You feel that the exit, the entrance would handle that 18-wheeler coming in and dumping his fuel there?
Yes, they're in your submission package. There's a drawing that shows how that vehicle will happen.
You don't have to go all through that, I'm just asking that question.
Yes, the answer is yes.
If he turns right, you won't go over into the southbound lane or anything like that?
No, that was my concern too, and I asked Glennon's office to look at it carefully, and
He's got enough radius there to...
He does. He does. He will admittedly go over the double yellow line on the driveway. He's not going to go over the double yellow line on Route 9.
Okay.
But when he comes up here, if there's nobody here, he just drives right in. If there's somebody here, he puts on his indicator, he waits for them to go, and he turns in.
Does he have enough room to pull off there in front of them?
He just stops on the road, and whoever's behind him has to stop. But if you were to try and accommodate an 18-wheeler to do that, you'd have to make, instead of a 36-foot wide driveway, you'd have a 36 or 50-foot wide driveway. And if you were to do that up and down the length of Route 9, you'd have lots of curb cut and make it more challenging for pedestrians to walk in the area.
What's substantially different about this entrance compared to what's there now? I mean, given that the last truck backed in, right, is there a reason why they didn't pull in?
Well, there's a little, what's the word? It's a canopy. It's an 18-inch canopy that extends out from the building, so it makes it very narrow to get through here. And it's proposed to remove the 18-inch canopy and make it wide enough for the trucks to be able to pull around and pull through. So that's really the biggest. They could have, if it wasn't for that, they could have done it, but they can't do it right now. So, and then the striping just, reinforces that.
Just one very specific question. I'm sorry.
No, I'm good.
You were saying that the tanker, as an example, which is probably the widest vehicle, would come around the back and go to come to the southern entrance out, right?
Correct.
So the scale says 1 inch 20 feet. Eyeball, it looks like less than an inch. So I'm just guessing maybe it's 18 feet wide. I don't drive tractor trailers; they wouldn't let me do that. But is that how wide the tractor trailer is? 20 feet. You're a transportation engineer, so
The tractor trailer is typically no wider than either 96 or 102 inches. If it's wider than 96 inches, then it needs a special permit to drive on roads. And some of them are up to 102 inches, which is, it's about 90 feet, about 10 feet.
all right. So that maybe you could go to the
Actually, it's 9 feet.
Right, it's less than 9 feet.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's because that corner we mentioned at the last meeting is about slightly over 11. It gets a little better on the other end, correct?
Yes, this
Yes.
end is wider, this
Right.
end is a little narrower.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So thank you. The second one is pseudo question, pseudo comment. I'm a big fan of someone taking a non-operating business and making an operating business, and I applaud the entrepreneurial instinct of our applicant for this. Interestingly enough, there's another gas station now that I just started noticing, the one at the Appalachian Market, that has been very successful too.
Mm-hmm.
It's so successful that there's not a time of the day that cars getting gas are not almost parked on Route 9. And I know that I've been trying to drive around that gas station for the last few weeks, and I've almost been hit several times. So let's say our colleague, our applicant is very successful in his business, like I'm hoping, or we're noticing in the Appalachian Market. And let's say there's lines out the door to try and get their oil change and the like. What do we do when we get to that point where, despite your forecasts and the International Institute of Transportation Engineers, whatever the acronym is, and their forecasts are actually wrong, and he's twice as successful? What mechanisms do we have to say, boy, the traffic's too good, and now we've got lines all over the place, much like we're seeing down here at Route 9 and 403, which is scary. What do we do at that point?
Yeah.
It's a good economist. I like that.
Well, I think part of the problem that Neil was talking about is if the operator of the facility wouldn't allow the people to get gas just to get gas and not go into the store and buy stuff. Yes, if you go down there there's empty cars all over the place. Where the hell are the drivers? He's in there buying something, getting a cup of coffee, getting a sandwich.
Right.
And people are hanging, they're waiting in line to get gas. So
Mhm.
something has to move those vehicles along. You got your gas, get the hell out of the place.
Right.
That's what should happen.
Well, you're correct. I mean, and from a management perspective, it's in
That's
the
a
operator's
management
best
problem.
interest to have them, and when I do it personally, and this is just me, when I get gas and I want to get something, I'm courteous enough to pull out
Well,
the
you should pull
spot
out,
and
yeah.
park in the parking space.
You're probably the only guy in New York
I might
City
be.
We'll give you a round of applause.
From a management perspective, that's what the operator wants me and other people to do, because that means he frees up the pumps for customers who only want gas. And with regard specifically to the proposal to change the car wash bays to auto care bays, there is a substantial amount of storage around the back of the building where you can store 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can store at least 5 cars without blocking any circulation.
Yeah, they might be waiting for tires.
Yes, they might be waiting for tires or oil or whatever, but you know the core of this application is changing the car wash to the auto care center. I mean, there's other things about where the door is, and it's already been moved, and restriping the parking spaces. But that's really, they're all making things better. They're not generating more traffic.
So much like we have with other applicants who have a number of parking spaces and they exceed those, do we have the means to have stipulations on plans that say a certain throughput, if you will, or number of cars flowing through the system, if it exceeds some level, that's equivalent to having too many cars parked in an area and therefore violates the site plan? Is that a...
One of the things that can be done is, in addition to raising the prices, which that was not meant to be, that's what'll happen. If that's what'll happen. And frankly, these 2 gas stations are successful because they've been having a little bit of a price war on the thing. But the other thing that can happen, and I'm sure Mr. Kamani would agree, that if there became a real management problem with the traffic and he was notified of it, he would put somebody out there to either pump some of the gas while somebody goes in, not everybody's gas, but somebody's, because actually Appalachian Trail did that for a while. They may still do it for all I know, but there was a time when somebody would come and let you go in a cup of coffee, get your cup of coffee, so that when you came out, you were filled up and you really weren't blocking the thing. So there is some traffic management, and if there were I don't think there would be an objection to, if there was a noticeable problem that we was given notice of, you would provide somebody to assist with the traffic management out in front of the parking. But there's not a lot more you can do with the site.
Yeah, if the concern is vehicles stopping at the gas pumps and people going inside and leaving the vehicles there instead of staying, you could ask that a courtesy sign be put up, no standing except for use of gas pumps or something like that by the pumps.
We'd be agreeable to that.
But that aside, I don't think you
tow
can.
truck sitting there waiting.
Might be bad for business. For the tow truck business.
I don't know if people read signs.
Can you remind me, when people come for oil changes, there's going to be somebody to drive their car into the back, is that correct?
They're going to drive around the back, out of their car in the back, and
Okay.
an attendant will drive it in to the bay and out of the bay for them to get back in.
So how does that affect the car storage in the back then? Is that going to block, like if they've got 5 cars stored back there, there'll be a point where the person has to stop
They'll be
and
moving
get
them
out,
up,
right?
yeah. I mean,
Just
you'll be in a queue.
Yeah.
You'll be in a queue, and the owner would typically be in the car until it's their turn.
There'll be some mechanism by which the person in the car isn't allowed to proceed past a certain point so that they don't get stuck or
Right,
cause,
yeah.
yeah.
That could be arranged too, I mean, but they, in that particular queue, unless there happens to be, well, there won't be anything, but if they were in that queue, they could always turn to the left and come into the other lane and go around the building. If they said, well, I'm tired of waiting, I'm gonna leave.
And there's sufficient room there,
Yes,
even
yeah,
if
they could go
even if
into
their
the
car's
lane.
stored back there.
Yes.
Okay.
There's actually 3 lanes. There's the queuing lane for and there's the delivery lane, and then there's a lane of parking, or it's not really a lane, it's a row of parking back there.
Yes, very.
The
delivery times, was that, would you delineate this?
Well, we had originally said that we could arrange to get deliveries overnight. That is not possible, that we tried to do that, but there is a window that we can specify, and we can specify that those deliveries take place off of our peak hours, which typically correspond to the rush hours. So you've got this glut of traffic in the early morning till, and I know it stops about 8:30, it's biased by about 8:30, and that's just from my looking out the window. And it starts again somewhere maybe 3:30, so somewhere between 10 and 2 would be fine.